requires you to register annually with the Bureau of Immigration. And for that reason, we will be interviewing our contact, our Suki, our good friend in the Bureau of Immigration, Dana Sandoval, spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, because from what I understand, mukhang in person, personal appearance. You are required to undertake personal appearance at the Bureau of Immigration. Now, how is this going to be for many of the foreigners who are outside, mostly who are outside Metro Manila? Because many foreigners left the Philippines before the shutdown, and those who were left behind are generally permanent residents, spouse, etc., business owners, what have you. So we'll find out from Dana. And then hopefully we'll get a good connection, and hopefully he will be able to keep his appointment with us. We will speak with Executive Director Abraham Sales of the Toll Regulatory Board para magkaliwanagan, kasi mukhang pinatawag na sila sa Senado regarding this RFID transition mess. And last but not the least, yung suki po natin sa Bohol. Finally, sabi niya noon, October. Nakalampas October, naging November, nakalampas November, ngayon December, but better late than never. Magbubukas na raw po ang Bohol for tourists. Will it be a bubble type of tourism? Will it be open to Metro Manila residents, etc.? We will speak with our regular here on agenda, Governor Arthur Yap. Okay, and the time is 8:03. Sana po ay maganda yung gising nyo. I hope you are rested. I hope you are cheerful, and no matter what the circumstance, because I tell you, I am being cheerful, I am being lively, etc. But truth be told, like many of us, I feel shell-shocked. Kasi sunod-sunod na po ang tama ko, bugbog ko sa akin, relatives being sick, my own daughter got sick, friends dying, just another friend died yesterday. Medyo kumbaga na-realize ko, ganito pala yung feeling ng shell shock. Kumbaga gulpi ka, parang namamanhid ka na lang. Para kang natutulala, and some people just like stare into nothing, kind of wondering when is all of this going to end. And some of us, I cling to the Lord. Nothing will separate us from the Lord. Not all these trials, not all these tribulations. Kapit lang, as they say. So kapit lang, and in the meantime, let's just pick up on the news, see what we can learn here on Agenda when we speak with our valued resource persons. Okay, in the meantime, let's take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. Excuse me. The top story in today's paper, AstraZeneca approves the procurement of another batch of vaccines for the Philippines through the private sector. Yan po yung sinasabi ni Joey Concepcion, Presidential Advisor on Entrepreneurship, na dyan po yung nagsama-sama, nagtulong ang private sector, yung mga kumpanya, and then with AstraZeneca and government. Kasi kung government lang, matagal. Maraming red tape, maraming bureaucratic procedure, laws on procurement. So sabi nila, baka pwede naman kayong tumulong. Sabi ni Joey Concepcion, yung grupo ni Joey, not just Joey Concepcion, but all the big businessmen. They said, right on, we're on board. Kasi po, sila rin apektado. If they don't help, their employees also can't get back on track. Their companies can't get back on track, manufacturing, etc. So we will follow up on that story in the coming week. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año clarifies that local government units are not coerced by higher authorities to denounce the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army. Hindi sila pinag-uutusan, hindi silang must attack, must criticize, etc. Yun lang sinasabi kasi yung iba yata parang feeling obligated to criticize or denounce the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army. Mag-ingat din po yung mga nasa probinsya kasi bagamat you may feel, righteous about it or whatever your sentiments are, just make sure you watch your back kasi maraming no permanent address na ali-aligid, baka kayo gantihan. Okay. At the top of the page, Senate summons the Department of Transportation and the Toll Regulatory Board for a probe on the RFID issues. We hope na kumbaga maka-preliminary discussion or inquiry tayo with Executive Director Sales later. Okay, on the second part of the front page, moving along with other stories on the front page, Vice President Leni Robredo urges netizens to report fake news linked to her. Kumbaga, kung may madinig kayo, ma-pick up kayo, o makita ninyo, whether social media, in radio, whatever, chismis na tungkol kay Leni Robredo, ating pangalawang Pangulo, ikalawang Pangulo, hindi pangalawang Pangulo, ikalawang Pangulo, kung maaari lang daw paabot sa kanya para maaksyonan nila because apparently the woman is fed up with being used as a punching bag and as a sisihan, okay? Sisihan ng mga ilang tao sa paligid. While national ID registration has reached 8.4 million out of 100 plus million. So, hindi pa tayo nakaka-1/4, hindi pa tayo nakaka-1/2, and medyo ilang buwan na ba. So, I think the PSA needs to double up on this with the DILG. And micro, small, and medium enterprises in the construction sector warn against the moves to allow unregulated entry of foreign contractors as it could bring demise to local players. Alam niyo po, yan po yung issue na maraming mga, well, I cannot say marami, no? Pero may mga interest groups who are allegedly investing in the Philippines. In tourism, in infrastructure, in whatever they're allowed to invest. But with the colatilla that they bring in their own people to construct this. In fact, I remember merong isang hotel chain na akala ko Pilipino may-ari. Apparently, Pilipino yung front, pero mainland Chinese yung mga owners. And I was told by local, in the Visayas to, that the people who constructed those facilities, parang pinagpatong-patong na mga container van ba? Mga Chinese, mainland Chinese. And I'm sorry to say, but every time I turned on the aircon and I took a bath in the shower, the lights would go off because nag-overload. Kasi sablay, palpak yung electrical system nila, overloaded, pati yung mga breaker, puro under. Bandang Rojas City po yun. Okay? Hanapin nyo na lang kung alin doon. In any case, I can relate to the concern of these individuals because of this organization kasi maliban sa nakakapasok po dito yung mga hindi dapat nakakapasok on the normal level, medyo kinokompetensya din nila. Kulang na nga ang trabaho. Tapos papayagan pa natin pumasok yung mga imported na mga labor na yan. Okay, so let's, speaking about imported labor, let's speak with the spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, none other than Dana Sandoval. Good morning, Ms. Dana.
Good morning, Sir Cito. Good morning to everybody. Good morning.
Okay, first of all, main topic, Dana, because nalilito ako best friend. Ano ba
Mhm.
talaga, Dana o Dana? Kasi ako gusto ko
It's
Dana
Dana.
eh. Oh, Dana.
It's
O sige.
Dana po. Local lang po tayo. Local lang. It's just Dana.
Sorry, ah. Anyway, okay, Dana, welcome to the show. I hope you're
Thank
doing
you.
well. I hope your baby is doing well. And matanong ko lang, kasi may mga nagsabi sa akin, nag-react. I
Mhm.
think last week there was announcement from the Bureau of Immigration that the annual registration will of foreigners or non-residents will take place February ata. And
Mhm.
their immediate reaction was, well, we're used to that. But how are we going to do this? Because we are living under COVID. And
Mhm. Mhm.
yung pati yung pag-travel kasi ang
Mhm.
requirement daw yata is personal appearance.
Mhm, mhm. That's right po. According to the law, sa 1950 Alien Registration Law, foreign nationals who are living here in the Philippines, yung may holders of immigrant and non-immigrant visas, so essentially those who are living here, working here, studying here, would need to present themselves to the bureau for their annual report. So what
Mm.
we did, especially Sir Cito, it's the time of COVID, so we're trying our best to lessen contact with people. And so we created this online appointment system to make sure that it doesn't get crowded in our offices. In the past years, we would see lean numbers. It starts actually in January for 60 days of the year. So we would see lean numbers in the start of the registration period. But like Filipinos, they would suddenly flock at the tail end of the registration period, which is really a problem for us,
Na, na,
especially.
nahawa na sa mga Pinoy at Pinay sa
Oh,
buhay nila.
totoo yan. Totoo yan. So, we're worried that that thing might happen again. That's why we're
Mm.
instituting this online appointment system wherein we are limiting appointments to 800 slots a day for the annual report. That's why we're encouraging everybody to register early, to apply
Mm.
early. And we're also emphasizing that it's not just the main office that's open to cater to this transaction. We have, I think, around 60 immigration offices nationwide. So those who are in the provinces do not need to travel to Manila. They can go to the nearest one from their place. We also have a couple of offices inside malls for
Mm.
everyone's convenience. So that's what we're suggesting. Instead of flocking all the way to the main offices, they go to our subport offices.
Okay, I don't expect you to memorize everything
Yeah.
or to remember everything, but you mentioned 60 offices.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of spacing, is that sufficient to cover everyone? Because I think from North Luzon all the way down to south to maybe Region 4, you got that covered. But the
Yeah.
minute you go towards Cebu, Visayas, Mindanao, what's the situation there? Will our foreign friends, guests find it equally convenient, or will there be challenges? Kasi alam mo naman, there's also foreigners living on islands. There are
Yes. Oo. Oo.
sabihin nila,
That's right.
magbabangka pa ako, mag-jeep, magkakalabaw.
Understandable because we are an island nation, so
Mm.
sometimes people are living in the far flung places. But we have offices as far as Zamboanga, Bungao, in
Mm.
Mindanao, in the north.
Bonggao,
Yes,
Tawi-Tawi?
Tawi-Tawi. Yes, we have an
Oh,
office
I'm
there.
impressed.
Yeah. And then we also have offices up north. We have offices in Vigan.
Mm.
We have offices in Cagayan.
Mm.
So those can cater the ones up north. And we even in central Visayas, we also have offices. So I think looking at the past few years, the data in the past few years, we are
Mm.
able to more or less sufficiently cover the entire Philippines.
Okay, we understand that, of course, the Bureau of Immigration has to have up to date records of foreigners living,
Mm-hmm.
residing, conducting business in the Philippines. But what if a foreigner, for some reason or another, fails to register
Mm-hmm.
this time around? Because I mean, it's known to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've been known to miss registration, renewals of permits, licenses, etc. So I don't see any reason why all for not that a foreigner, one or two, might forget. What's the
Mm-hmm.
penalty, or what happens?
Well, it would depend on the reason. Kasi more or less, if a foreigner misses the annual report, most probably he missed extension also, or extension of his visa or renewal of his visa. Kasi during the annual report, it's when we are able to see if the person has delinquency in
Mhm.
immigration application. So most probably they are already overstaying, or they
Yeah.
have not secured the proper visa, so that would entail deportation. That's why we are emphasizing the importance of doing your annual report
Yeah.
for foreign nationals who are here in the Philippines. And we're trying our best to make it easier, especially now in the time of COVID. We're making ways to make sure that we don't have too much interaction, or we try to make ways to make it as quick as possible. We also have mobile efforts. So if
Yeah.
there are groups of around 10 or more, they can request for a mobile annual report with the bureau, which can be conducted on a
Mm.
Saturday. So usually it's the embassies who do this. So for example, the U.S. embassy will coordinate some of their foreign nationals, and then they will set a schedule with the bureau. So they would pick one Saturday from in the somewhere between January to March of 2021, and they would
Mm.
we would be able to host a mobile annual report for them.
Okay, well, so what about, isa-isahin ko na, Dana, no? What
Mm-hmm.
about senior citizens? Because
Mm-hmm.
you know that anyone older than 65 will not be
Cannot
allowed to
go out.
travel, cannot go out.
Yes. Yes.
So what are they supposed to do?
Well, actually, not just senior citizens, but children under 14 years old
True,
are
true.
exempted. Yes, they are exempted from going in person to do the annual report, but they still have to file for their annual report, but through a representative. So for children, it would be their parents, and for the senior citizen, they could get a representative with a special power of attorney
Mhm.
who would file their annual report for them. So
That
um,
that doesn't
including that.
require a lawyer.
No, no. They would just need a special power of attorney. So
Mhm.
it's like a certification for someone who would be applying on their behalf.
Mhm.
It's also the same for those with other conditions like PWDs, those
Mhm.
who are sick. For example, bedridden people,
Mhm.
and then pregnant women, they can also be exempted with the use of an SPA.
Okay, now what about online? Kasi you know that nowadays there is facial recognition, there
Mm-hmm.
is validation, fingerprint, etc. When will we see the day? And I don't know if it's feasible, if it's legally allowed, but are we headed towards a time in the future where facial recognition, thumbprints, etc., or iris, whatever, will suffice for people to do their annual report? And why does it have to be annual?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hindi ba pwedeng 5 years, 10 years? I can hear these questions from our audience. Eh.
Mm. Well, first, it's annual because it's in the law. So we really have no choice
Mm.
but to implement it already. But the logic behind it is to check really the status of foreign nationals and to make like an annual census of foreign nationals in the Philippines. And the importance of it being face to face or are live is because we are checking if the status of the person, the health and the condition of the person, if he is still alive and he's still in the Philippines, and what area he is in, because we're also looking at the areas where foreign nationals are concentrated. So that's very important in our efforts to monitor the registration of aliens. But for other transactions, we're actually moving into automating other immigration transactions. One of the major projects that we are trying to do, hopefully by early next year, is for the tourist visa extension, which is
Hmm.
the bulk of the processes of the bureau. Most of those foreign nationals who are applying with the bureau are doing tourist visa extension. So that's one thing that we see. That's one project that we believe that has a major impact in foreign nationals here in the Philippines. We're also looking into automating the exit clearance for
Yeah.
those long-term foreign nationals who will be leaving the Philippines.
Okay, because on a note here provided by Team Agenda, they advised me that House Deputy Speaker Rufus Rodriguez authored House Bill number 4103, which seeks to modernize the Bureau of Immigration and fight off anomalous schemes like Pastilla scam. What reforms would you like to see in terms of legislation? Kasi matagal lang pinag-uusapan yung
Hmm.
reforming or changing the Bureau of Immigration law of 1949 ba? 1950.
1940s. It's a very old law. Wala pa pong mga eroplano. That's what we're
Kainis.
really that's what we're really putting out kasi wala pang mga eroplano when this law was made. So ang dami ng outdated
Yeah.
policies that are included here. So we're in when the time that it was made, puro barko pa lang
Mm.
ang international travel. So there's so many outdated policies and entries there already. And this is what we're seeing as the long-term solution for the problems that are hounding the bureau, because we already did all the things that we can do. We already removed those who are involved in illegal operations or
Yeah.
in modus operandi. And then we implemented a medium-term solution by reorganizing airport operations. But what we see as the long-term solution is really the updating of the immigration law, because it will answer so many things. It will answer
Mm.
salary woes. It will remove systemic issues,
Mhm.
plug loopholes in the policies, update fines and penalties. This is very important, and ensure proper division of power and confer to the commissioner the proper disciplinary power. So I'll give you a couple of
Yeah.
examples of
Yeah. Please.
what's in the old law that needs to be updated. Like, for example, the fines and penalties for an aircraft or a vessel to bring in an illegal alien in the Philippines, they will be fined only 500 pesos. So
Huh?
that's absurd. That's absurd, and that's not a deterrent for anyone to bring in illegal aliens. So what we want is to upgrade this to
Mm.
strengthen immigration policies and
What about Dana, yung sinabi mo, the one that you mentioned, giving the Bureau of Immigration Commissioner more power or real power to discipline?
mhm,
One would imagine that, a guy like him would have so much power. If you have the power to deport, he must
mhm.
have the power to discipline. What is the reality?
Ideally, is the commissioner should have the power to discipline the employees. But now, since we are under the administrative jurisdiction of the Department of Justice, it's the
Hmm.
DOJ that acts on our administrative cases. So it takes longer.
How is it?
In
Yeah, sorry, Dana, no?
Yeah.
How is it abroad, in other countries? Kasi parang, feeling ko, baka mas mabuti pang gawin na lang semi-independent
Mhm,
agency. Because I know that happens in other departments. There are agencies in other
mhm,
departments that are attached but
mhm,
operate independently.
mhm, mhm. Well, that's what we're proposing. Uh, the important part would that be if the commissioner has the disciplinary powers, if we catch something in the morning, in the afternoon we can immediately implement a suspension or a sanction against the erring individual. But now what happens is that we have to conduct an investigation first, get all the sides, submit a report to the Department of Justice, who will again review the report, which it takes longer. Unlike if
Uh-huh.
the commissioner has the disciplinary power, we can immediately implement a suspension or whatever sanction against the personnel.
And that's ironic, Dana, no? Because
Mm-hmm.
I excuse me, I see the point. That's ironic because the man who is on the ground, the man or the woman who is in charge of it, knows all the details, has to
Mm-hmm.
pass the problem to people who are away
Mm-hmm.
and detached from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Parang ano,
And
alam
they would
nila.
have, yeah, and they have yet to study what happened and
Mm,
analyze what happened following all the reports that we submitted. So it's
mm.
better for everybody, and it's really better for the government if we are able to implement sanctions immediately.
Okay, what about funding? What about provision? Because yun na nga, di ba, my earlier question is, will we see a Bureau of Immigration that is highly modern, totally modern, highly digital, etc.? What is the status? And this is not to criticize anyone. Kasi nga,
Mhm.
sabi mo, 1940s pa yung batas, you're still treated like some small agency when
Mhm.
the reality is you become a frontliner defense for the government.
Mhm.
So what is the funding status of the Bureau of Immigration? Do you guys get enough money or parang alam knowing titipirin or there's not enough money nagtitipid din kayo sa mga program or budget proposals ninyo?
Well, we're happy naman, Sir Cito, that we get the government support when it comes to funding. But of course, like all government agencies, we could do with a little bit more,
Mhm.
especially in terms maybe of the salaries of our immigration officers. If you remember, those whistleblowers who were involved in the Pastillas mentioned that the reason that they did what they did is because they had low salaries, and their augmentation pay was not given to them for some time. That's why
Pero
they ended up being part of it. But it's not a good excuse. It's not
yeah,
an excuse at all. But of course, in the long run, it's one of the attractions maybe for good people, quality people to join the bureau. If we have a competitive salary, then those who are coming from good schools, are graduates of good schools who are
mhm.
with Latin honors, would be attracted to join the bureau.
Okay, now as far as salaries go, what exactly were those jokers earning in any case? Na
Um,
they felt they had every right to corrupt themselves.
mhm. If I'm not mistaken, those who are in the front line are just have salary grade 11, so around 16,000 for their monthly salaries.
And then yung augmentation, magkano pa yon?
It would depend po on the position of the immigration officer, but maybe for the division chief level, I think around 30,000 for the division chief level.
Okay, pero yung frontline na gano'n niya nasa ano, nandoon sa mga counters
Lower, I think 20, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
a month.
Yes,
So they're making about 36,000 a month,
around
more
like
or
that,
less.
yeah.
Eh yung mga kaibigan, please, ladies and gentlemen, don't be surprised. You might say, what? 36,000? They're still complaining. Yeah, it's ironic that at 36,000, these guys who were involved in that scam and to the discredit of the BI are still complaining. But then again, alam niyo po, I have a past life. I have dealt with the very people that the Bureau of Immigration want to get out of this country. 36,000, pinangtitip lang nila yan sa mga GRO ng mga kriminal. So, pinamimigay yung pera. So, do not be surprised if you are human, our frontliners, being human will also fall. Nonetheless, okay, we're down to our last few minutes, Dana. So going back to our friends, foreign friends, you said something I've never heard before: mobile community service. Can we just have a little more information on that?
Yes, for those who are planning to do their annual report, if they can make a group of around 10 people or more, hopefully, we can schedule a mobile annual report for them. Schedule it on a Saturday somewhere between January to March 2021. So usually it's the embassies that do this. So it's best that they coordinate with their embassy. It would allow us to decongest our offices. And ayun nga, we are also emphasizing that they go to our other immigration offices there. They can visit our website, www.immigration.gov.ph. They can check there which immigration office is nearest to them, so they can go there instead, rather than go all the way to the main office in Intramuros.
Okay, well, I'll leave it at that, Dana, and thank you very much. Congratulations to the Bureau of Immigration. Quickly na lang. Who
Alright.
is your champion in Congress or in the Senate to have the new immigration bill? Meron na ba o maghahanap pa tayo?
Marami po. We are thankful that we have a lot of supporters with the immigration, the modernization bill. And napakadami po that are supporting us. Siguro majority of those in Congress and Senate have been supporting this law, especially in the wake of the Pastillas issue, because these bodies have seen the importance of upgrading and updating this law to be able to answer all our problems. So we're very thankful for that. And hopefully, we get to pass this law immediately.
Okay, we'll follow up on that with our friends in Congress. And thank you very much for joining us this morning. As always, very informative, very pleasant. And cheers to your daughter, ano? Daughter ba?
Daughters.
Daughter, yeah.
Daughters.
Daughter. At least okay pa yung memory ko. God bless her and God bless you.
Thank you, Sir Cito. Thank you, everyone. And please stay safe. Thank you. Good morning.
Okay. That's Dana Sandoval, spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration. So if you are a foreigner and you live in an area, because I know up in Clark, up in Baguio, in Cebu, even in Zamboanga and some other parts of the Philippines, even in Batangas, there are groupings of foreigners. So if you can manage at least 10, maybe 15, 20 or more to come together or agree to meet up in a barangay or community area, then you can get in touch with the Bureau of Immigration so they can send a mobile registration team. And if not, contact your individual embassies because, as Dana pointed out, they also organize this community-based registration. Okay, we'll go for a quick break here on Agenda, and when we return, hopefully we will have Executive Director Abraham Sales of the TRB, and if not, we will continue with providing you news and information as we go here on Agenda. Okay, the time is 8:35 in the morning. It's a Monday morning. The sun is out. It's dry. And ang basa lang yung luha ko dahil ako ay nagpipigati sa pinoproblema ko sa mga baboy ko. Okay, in any case, we are back here on agenda and let's move on to the next topic. Let's find out what's the situation para sa inyong mga gumagamit ng RFID, hindi pa nakakapagpakabit ng RFID at mga pinoproblema ng mga merong toll roads. Okay, we have with us via phone Executive Director of the Toll Regulatory Board, Mr. Abraham Sales. Sir, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning po. Good morning po.
Okay. Executive Director Sales, pwede ho bang makahingi ng update? Because from what I understand, you have been called to the Senate to answer various issues and concerns that the legislators want to address.
Opo. Medyo ano lang po yung line. Medyo choppy lang po yung line. Sige po. I'm trying to hear you po. Hello.
Okay. Update, please.
Hello.
Hello. Can you give us an update, please?
Echo. Hello.
Okay. Hello, Director Sales, ano na ho ba ang sitwasyon dyan sa mga toll road issue natin sa RFID?
Good morning po. First of all, sa ngayon po, we continue to monitor po yung mga expressway po natin, in connection with the implementation of this cashless program po na iniito po ng Department of Transportation. If I may share with you, last week po, ang stickering status po, siguro po umabot na po ngayon ng 8 million stickers na po ang na-install, ang RFID stickers po na na-install, as compared to 1.4 million before the implementation po of the program. That was yung 1.4 million po middle of this year po. So sa ngayon po, I would say nasa 3.8 million stickers na po ang naikabit. Ngayon, on the yung tinatawag po na penetration rate po ng RFID transactions, nasa 80 to 90% po yung report po last week. But there are certain concessions, there are certain expressway po like Capitex and Calax na more than 90% na po yung motorista doon na gumagamit po ng RFID. So ang ano po namin, medyo nag-successful po yung implementation. Pero may mga glitches po, may mga naging problema po sa plaza, like for example sa NLEX po, na nagbigay naman po kami ng mga solusyon at yan naman po na i-relay na po sa mga operator, in particular po sa NLEX, for them to consider. Like for example, yun pong cost po ng traffic doon sa mga plaza ng Karuhatan at sa Mindanao, although hindi po siya ino-operate po ngayon. Ang instruction po is tanggalin po yung stickering at saka reload site po doon kasi yun po yung main cost po nung nung naging traffic po dyan nung mga nakaraang panahon po na nag-ooperate po sila. And that's also related po sa mga operators na kung may ganun pong pasyon na may mga stickering or reloading activity na ginagawa po sila sa mga plaza at nakaka-traffic po, yun, ang advice po namin, tanggalin po yun at ilipat po sa mga lugar kung saan po hindi po siya magkaka-traffic. Yun po, I'm continuing po yung monitoring at kung ano po yung mga glitches po na nakikita po natin, pinapakorek po natin yan. Yun pong system glitches po sa NLEX, ano na po yan na matagal na pong nai-inform po sa kanila yung mga, and they continue naman po to correct it. Kaya lang po, inabutan po nitong nitong pagpapa-implement po ng cashless program. At yun naman po ay karagdagan pa rin po dun sa mga nagiging problema, kaya nagkakaroon po ng mga viewing ng congestion po sa traffic dahil instead po na mas mabilis, pag minsan po hindi po nabibigyan agad ng atensyon ng mga tao po doon na supposed i-address po yung problema. Kaya ganun po ang nangyayari. Kaya ang instruction po namin sa kanila, kasi kinumit din naman po nila yan bago po mag-umpisa itong programa, dagdagan po yung mga tao na yung tinatawag na ambulance assistant po doon sa site para i-address po yung mga nagiging problema po doon sa mga plaza. Kasi mayroon po kasing secondary way of pag hindi po nabasa po yung sticker mo. Yun po yung binabasa po yung in-issue na card. So kung alerto po yung mga tao na na magawa po yun, mapagawa po yung transaction time ng mga motorista po. So,
Okay.
yun po yung mga latest po na may share po namin sa inyo po.
Okay, Executive Director Sales, kung pwede, no, if you will allow, I just want to ask you questions that I know some senators are going to be asking you. Itong cashless transition na ito, what is the basis of the implementation? Meron ba kayong ginawang study, statistics, pati na yung process ng procurement on the part of the operators? Kasi ang lumalabas na impresyon ng ibang senador, sumunod lang kayo sa direksyon ng DOTR, pinasa nyo sa mga toll operator, overlooking the fact that it takes months to get those readers, it takes months. And in fact, if I may quote Senator Gatchalian, it took Indonesia 2 years to transition from cash to cashless. Tayo ilang buwan hong ginawa natin yung simula nung nilabas ng DOTR yung cashless policy announcement?
Yan po, unang-una po, yung objective po ng cashless program. Hello, kung naririnig niyo po.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yun nga po, tumitigit po yung spread ng COVID-19. Ngayon po, noon po nagkaroon po ng pandemic, late part po ng first quarter, we've been coordinating po with the toll operators na i-intensify yung kampanya po nila ng pagbibigay po ng RFID. Kasi at that time po, ang gumagamit po na motorista po na transaction po via RFID, nasa 30 to 40% lang po. So, considering po yung tinatawag na social distancing para maiwasan po yung teller to driver contact sa pagbabayad po ng cash sa transaction po, kami po ay nagtulong-tulong po ng mga toll operators na i-intensify po yung kampanya sa pagkakabit po ng RFID. And then, ang kanila pong sinasabi, kasi matagal na po nilang ginagawa po yung nagkakabit. At talagang hindi po umaangat po sa between 30 and 40% po yung penetration rate po na tinatawag ng RFID transaction. So, sa pagputulong po namin, tinanong po namin sila, kasi napag-uusapan na nga po noon yung transition to kung pwede po, majority RFID na po yung gagamitin. So, tinanong po namin yung mga status po ng kanila pong, like for example, yung mga staff po nilang ng sticker, and then how fast can they convert po yung mga plaza na cash into RFID lane. Yun po napag-usapan. Maraming beses po napag-usapan yung naupuan po. That started yun na po, last part of first quarter. And then, ang kanila pong sinasabi, in order to increase po yung penetration rate at saka yun pong subscription po ng RFID, is a government intervention. Actually po, we issued din letters po sa kanila on that day for them to intensify po yung campaign. That's why at that point po, naglagay po sila ng mga signages po dyan sa expressway, avoid COVID, ganun po, subscribe to RFID, get RFID para po maiwasan po yung COVID. But although at that time po yung traffic, nagsak na po yung traffic, So came out this, napag-uusapan po namin ng DOTR, and then we continued po to consult with the operators. Nung pinag-uusapan na po yung cashless program, again, we continue to meet with the operators. Ang sinasabi po nila, they are ready. Kaya nga po, kung matatandaan niyo po, yung LTFRB nag-issue rin po ng memorandum to operators. I think that's May, comparing yung public operator, utility operators po na gamitin na po yung RFID, because that is one way of maintaining po yung tinatawag na social distancing between yung contact po between the drivers and the operators, and the car sellers. And then yung nga po, hanggang sa napunta na po doon sa August 2019 issuance po ng Department of Health. But before that was issued po, nagkaroon pa rin po ng mga consultation, and then in-express din po ng mga operators that they are ready to implement. So ganun. Yun po yung background.
Yeah. Okay, it's clear. Director, klaro naman na pinag-usapan ninyong lahat, pero klaro rin na hindi kakayanin o hindi nahihirapan. Nahihirapan yung mga operator, kailangan nila ng budget, kailangan nilang bumili ng mga gamit, tapos bigla tayong binahan ng sobrang daming mga clients. Ang tanong, kasi ngayon parang ang balita, nakikita ko sa mga toll booths ngayon, although dapat 100% cashless, nag-open yung mga operators ng isang cash lane. Kasi sabi nila kung hindi, wala nang makakagalaw dito. In fact, yesterday, I experienced a 21-minute queue in one of those toll gates. Ano na ang balak niyong gawin or sasabihin niyo sa Senado pag tinanong kayo sa TRB, ano ba yung actual na ginagawa ninyong solusyon? Hindi lang yung suggestion but solution.
Ayun nga po, yung solusyon po na naipa po namin sa kanila, yun pong nakita po natin na nagkakatwaan po talaga. Pinapatanggal po natin yung pong installation stickering site po doon sa...
Okay.
Very obvious po yun sa paglalagay po nila, hindi nila na-anticipate na ganun po karami yung traffic po na dadagsak, kukuha po ng RFID at nagdadagsak din po yung naglo-load kahit may RFID. So sumikip po yung mga
Okay, I think we lost the signal from Executive Director Sales. We will call him again. But essentially, it's just really going around. And I guess, sabi nga nila, time has a way of solving things. Darating din tayo in the long of time na ma-resolve yung issue na yan. But I don't know if it's today or this week when the Senate inquires. There we go. Okay, Executive Director Sales, you're back on air.
Thank you po, nadaan po sa tunnel sa EDSA po.
Okay. Okay lang. Director,
Yun nga po,
ang tanong ko lang, ano ang nakapaghanda na ba kayo para sa inquiry, sa Senate inquiry? Kasi may mga nagsasalita na baka pag hindi sila masaya sa sagot ninyo o sa mga presentasyon nyo, baka medyo i-challenge na yung capability ng TRB.
Opo. Noted po yun. Yun naman po pinag-aandaan din po natin yung mga kasagutan at kasama naman po natin yung Department of Transportation po dyan.
Yes, sir.
Kasi naman po, tama po yung nabanggit po nyo kanina, ini-implement po namin dahil kami po kasi yung may direct sa operators.
Yes, sir.
Kaya yung mandato po na binigay po sa amin, sa abot po ng aming mga kayanan, ini-implement po natin yun. And then yung mga immediate solutions po nga nakita natin concerning po yung mga naging problema po dyan, particularly dyan po sa NLEX, naibigay na po sa kanila yan, pinatatanggal po natin yung nakakaabala po na mga invalidation charge. And we believe na malaki pong kaginhawaan o sabihin na po natin mabawasan po siguro yung traffic po dyan pagka binalik po yung operation po nila. May-share ko lang din naman po dun sa mga ibang lugar naman po, dito po sa South, at saka sa ibang lugar din po ng NLEX, maganda naman po ang resulta po nung napaayos naman po yung traffic. May mga parts po talaga, kaya nga po nagkaroon po ng issue dyan. Yun pong Valenzuela, yun pong Karuhatan at saka Mindanao, yun po malala po yung traffic nung mga nakaraang linggo po, nung inimbitahan po natin yung implementation po ng programa. Yun naman po, kaya nagkaroon po ng pati si Secretary Tugadi po, nag-inspection po dyan at yung mga solusyon po na nakita po niya, relay po na po natin, na po natin sa operator po yan. And even before that, kami naman po nagko-coordinate.
Okay.
Yung tao, yung nga po yung sinasabi ko po kanina.
Yeah. Director, Director, para hindi na lang humaba, kasi parang umiikot-ikot na tayo, will you allow at least one cash lane to be retained? Kasi sinasabi yun ng mga operator, hindi pwedeng 100% kasi may mga tao rin naman na kung gumamit ng NLEX o ng SLEX once or twice a year lang.
Sa ngayon po kasi, pag inaalaw po ngayon, yun, mayroon po kasing transition period na napag-usapan po. Kasama na po, yun pong pag-aalaw po ng transaction po ngayon. That has become a measure po to mitigate po yung traffic congestion. And we continue to see po kung ano po yung magiging hanggang January 11 po, tinitignan po natin kung even beyond that, kung kailangan pong maglagay po ng pag-alaw po ng cash transaction. But then again, yung nasabi ko nga po kanina, nasa more than 90% na po yung gumagamit na po ng RFID. And then pagka ang usapan nga po namin, particularly dito po sa operations po ng South Luzon, dahil nasa more than 90% po sila, ang ibig lang pong sabihin yung mga motorista, 10% na lang po yung gagamit ng cash. Ngayon, if ever there will be a cash leg that could be maintained, siguro po titingnan po natin kung paano po yung kung 10% na lang, for example. But if the trend would continue na makita po natin na yun pong gamit po ng RFID, tumataas na po, and then siguro po doon po natin titignan kung talaga pong tatanggalin na po talaga yung cash towards po yung objective po ng department order po. Ganun po. Ganun po yung direction.
Okay, so anong reaction ninyo doon sa mga sinasabi na pag hindi sila happy tagpas yung budget nyo or whatever? Are you confident that you can pacify our legislators, particularly yung mga representante dyan sa Valenzuela na nagngingit-ngit na sa TRB?
Alam niyo po, yung TRB po, napakarami pong inaasikaso po. Kasama na po yung cashless po. Yung pong pagpapa-implementa po ng mga project po natin, yung Skyway, yung pong toll road po, yan pong C6, yung South-Link. TRB po ang po yan, ang nag-o-oversee po yan. Kasi yung mga problema po natin na dinatnan po dyan sa opisina, yung tungkol po sa mga right of way, at saka yun pong mga nakapending po na mga tinatawag na tolerance setting, yun pa po yung ibang ginagawa po ng opisina. Kasama na po, karagdagan na rin po yan dun sa yung cashless. In fairness naman po dun sa mga kasamahan po natin sa opisina, although yung budget po natin, hindi naman po ganun kalakihan, and then yung mga tauhan po natin, ilan lang po kami dyan, na nagtatrabaho naman po para magawa po yung kung ano po yung dapat kayanin po ng opisina.
Okay.
Yan naman pong programa na to, nagkaroon lang po talaga ng problema dun sa lugar po dyan sa Valenzuela. Pero yung iba naman po, masabi ko naman po, ang report po sa amin, maayos naman po ang takbo po. Yun lang po sana na makonsider din po yung mga ganon.
Okay, sir, matanong ko, huling katanungan ko na lang sa inyo, alam kong abala rin kayo. Itong nangyari sa Valenzuela, kasi ako, ang pag-aakala ko, pag yung pagpapatakbo ng mga tollways, kayo lang sa TRB at DOTR ang may otoridad. And a lot of people were surprised that the city of Valenzuela can actually uh, relatively shut down the operation or the business of NLEX, for instance, if they wanted to by suspending the business permit. So may mga nagtatanong, paano nangyari yun? Hindi ba national yung mga tollway, mga expressway? Bigla na lang papasok ang mayor at sasabihin, wala, hindi kayo pwedeng maghanap buhay dito, itaas nyo yung mga bara na yan.
Tama po yun. Pareho rin po kami ng objective po ng LGU, no, na pagandahin po yung pag-ooperate po nung expressway. Ano po. Ang ano lang po doon, dahil kung nasuspect po yung business permit, siyempre ang resulta po noon, hindi po sila makapag ano po ng kanilang negosyo. Yung naman sa amin po, kasi po yung ginigay po natin sa extra NLEX, yung tinatawag na permiso, toll operation permit para sila po ay mag-operate po ng expressway. So, ang amin pong karapatan po dyan, kung kami po yung nakakapag-issue ng permit, pwede rin po namin i-suspend or cancellahin po yun. Pero subject po yun dun sa due process na tinatawag. On the part ng LGU naman po, ang nagiging resulta po kasi noon, siyempre po, nasuspindi po yung kanila pong business permit. Yun po, hindi po sila makagalaw po doon. Yan naman po, tinitignan din po namin in coordination with mukhang may ano po, yung mga batas, kailangan din po sigurong usisahin po siguro yun. Katulad po nung nangyari, partially, hindi po nila ma-operate po yung tansada. Incidentally po, nasa open system po yung nasuspindi po. Kaya hindi po masyadong nagkaroon po ng epekto doon po sa ibang segment po ng expressway. Medyo yun pong operation, kahit na po nagkaganyan, medyo isolated lang po yung epekto po doon sa expressway.
Okay, pero it meddles with your operations or with your area of jurisdiction. At saka it meddles, with all due respect to the LGU, no? Kasi ang issue dito, dapat ba, tama ba, na ang LGU pwede ring pakialaman yung isang proyekto or isang service that is generally under the national government. What is the feeling of the TRB on this?
Yun po siguro ang kailangan pong usisain po kasi nga meron pong medyo may may overlapping na po yung pagbibigay po ng permiso at saka yung permiso po ng local government. Doon naman po sa pagbibigay po ng national government ng permiso din, medyo nagkakaroon na po ng overlapping and yun po siguro yung kailangan pong usisahin at tignan din po kung harmonize po yun. To the benefit or not to affect po yung public interest po. Yun po siguro yung kasama na po kami ng gusto po.
Okay. Well, anyway, Executive Director Sales, maraming salamat po. Sana magkaroon tayong pagkakataon na makita naman ng mga tagapanood natin yung inyong katauhan at makita kayo live. But in any case, maraming salamat for filling in the blanks and sana po talaga ay maayos na ito at magkaroon tayo ng compromise not just in the operation but also in terms of the schedule of January 11, 2021. Thank you very much for joining us, Executive Director Sales.
Walang anuman po. Sa magandang umaga po sa mga
Okay. That's Executive Director Sales of the Toll Regulatory board, Abraham Sales, and ayun, nadinig naman niyo po yung explanation niya. Pinatigil na yung mga stickering doon sa mga toll gates kasi kung nakakabara. Kasi may mga areas naman, okay, meron 4, 5, 6 mga vehicles pumipila, pero pag nagpapaila, pinapapasok, pinapatabi na. In any case, we will see this because there is a contention you cannot be 100% cashless because at a certain point, sabi nga ni Congressman Edgar Sarmiento, inabot sila, ang Indonesia, inabot ng 2 years. May mga ibang bansa, for the longest time, meron pa rin cash lane na nag-iisa para lang dun sa mga incidental journeys lang. Yung kumbaga, hindi regular. Mga once a year, twice a year, o yung mga naambulansya lang, etc. But fortunately or unfortunately, I just want to share with all of you, when my wife went back to the Netherlands, she was quite surprised. Ang hirap ho para sa kanila kasi talagang wala. Sabi niya, the Netherlands is cashless already. It is such, okay, we will go for a quick break. And when we return, ayusin ko lang ang aking camera dito. Babalik po tayo here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. You are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as on facebook.com/1newsph, and of course on YouTube, 1newsph. Kanina yung aking kaibigan si Ginoong Romel Sitin, sa kanila yung Photon, Cherry, United Auto Group, etc. Wagi ba yun? Or I forgot the name. Nagtatanong, yung bang radyo mo araw-araw? Wala po tayo sa radyo. Nasa television po tayo online. And medyo kokorikin natin yan na miya-miya. Pero we are essentially via Signal TV, and we go on from Monday to Friday, okay? And may replays po after lunch and early evening. So, in any case, we are just waiting for Governor Artiap of Bohol para malaman natin kung ano na ang tourism diyan sa Bohol. But for the meantime, alam niyo po, mapag-usapan lang natin yung Pasko. The Department of Health and authorities are encouraging everyone, kung kayo ay may balak mag-reunion, okay? If you cannot help yourself, if you cannot stop yourself, or you just really, and I understand it, you really want to go and meet up with your relatives, the best thing you could do is come into an agreement with everyone na, well, today is the 14th, so now, up to the 24th, medyo 10 araw pa yon, mag-self-isolate na kayo. Walang labasan, walang pasyalan, or kung gagalaw man kayo, kumbaga okay, eto, nako, tumaas na naman. Ewan ko ba, tumaas na naman daw yung transmission rate natin. Nagpadala si Gab, yung aming executive producer, Gab Malyari, just sent me this note, 1.1 na po R naught per octa, sir. Over 1 means higher transmission. So, dati, yung ating pagkahawahan sa Pilipinas, yung community transmission natin, was already going down. In fact, I think the last time I actually heard was may magna 9 pa yata or just below 1. Ngayon, 1.1. So clearly, this leniency in terms of mobility, movement, etc., opening places, has resulted in an increase of transmission. Hello, kailangan pa ba i-memorize yan? That's exactly what happened in Europe and in America, in the United States. Areas that relaxed their protocols or relaxed the restrictions, they had a surge, second wave, third wave. So in any case, I was referring to that item earlier. The government or the authorities are encouraging everyone, if you are going to celebrate Christmas with your family, like yung mga anak pupunta sa mga magulang o mga apo or magsasalo-salo kayo, individually, try to go on self-isolation. Because if you do that from today until the 24th, if you have anything, by now, hopefully, you will know before the 24th kung may tama ka or wala. And I don't know if you can afford it. I don't know if it's already available, a cheap form of testing. I think that's what, President Duterte should really try to push for. He should push for cheaper COVID testing, kahit na yung tawag nila antigen testing ba, para bago kayo magsalo-salo, let's say, okay, December 14, sige, isolate na tayo. Pagkatas ng 7 days, so 21, di ba, magpa-antigen test na kayo, wala nang labasan. And then, yun, at least makikita mo na kagad na when you come together, safe. Now, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. When we do isolation, testing, etc., we generally tend to do it for ourselves and our immediate family. Si mama, si papa, anak, etc., o baka anak pati apo. I've seen a pattern. Practically all my friends who got COVID through two types of individuals. They got COVID-19 from their drivers, or they got COVID-19 from their maids or houseboys, yung domestic helper. Ito po, this is the reality. I saw this, I know this. May mga bahay kasi na puro tayo utos. O, labas, labas. Sige, bili mo akong ganyan. Pumunta ka kay ganito. Ikuha mo ito. I-pick up mo ito. Or, like one of my friends, he was going around trying to earn a living, went into so many meetings. Pagpunta sa meeting, nakamask. Okay? Lahat ng vitamins, lahat, kon todo. Yung palang driver na may tama, hindi niya alam. Okay? So, that's the problem. We need to have our assistants, helpers, drivers tested as well. Okay? Kasi ang hirap, magpapatest ka, nagpatest ka, pagkatas yung driver mo, hindi mo pinatest kasi mahalang patest. Tapos nadali ka. Another case that I know of, my friend Christopher Salva told me, they had everyone in the company tested. Okay? And they were doing protocols. Walang uwian ng hindi ganito. Basta may sinusunod sila. Okay? And then it turned out that one of their office staff, na ewan ko kung part-time yun or whatever, umuwi pala sa pamilya somewhere. Naawa dun. Mabuti na lang hindi nakabalik sa office nila. Kasi pagdating pa lang doon, medyo siguro nagtagal lang so many days or a week, hindi na, may tama na. So, it really scared the daylights out of them. I mean, kasi ito pong COVID, yesterday I visited my place in Lipa, and kinakantsawan ko pa yung isang kapitbahay ko, paano yan? Hilig nyo mag-karaoke. Sabi ni Secretary Anyo, bawal ang karaoke. Sabi, oo nga sir eh. Then pagdating ng gabi, nagkaraoke na. Nagkaraoke na po sila. Aray ko po. Sabi ko, sige, eto na. Next morning, nagkakaraoke. Apparently, ganun kasi sa probinsya eh. One to sawa, magdamagan. Nag-umpisa ng umaga hanggang hapon, ganyan. Palapit ng palapit ang mga tao, inuman at saka kantahan. And after, before sunset, halata mo na iba na yung tonong lasing na. But here's the problem, hindi po kami kontra sa kayo magsalo-salo, hindi naman tayo kontra, pero alam nyo, magiinuman. Tapos, madadaan kayo sa kapitbahay, hindi alam ng kapitbahay na nakipagsalo-salo kayo doon. Bibili ka ng bigas, bibili ka ng ulam or something, and then nakalat na po. Marami po sa atin, hindi natin naiisip yan, mga ganyan, yun po, sinabi sa atin, yung rate of transmission, yung R0, umabot na uli sa 1.1. Susubukan nating makuha si Professor Guido David kasi medyo nakakabahala yan. Kasi kahapon po, may nag-text sa akin. Actually, hindi nag-text nag-share lang siya doon sa aming Victory Small Group. Sabi niya, sana balik na lang tayo sa modified GCQ ba yun? ECQ ba yun? Ewan ko, nakalimutan ko na kung ano yung sinabi niya. Pero he was actually asking for a tighter, more stricter community quarantine. Kasi yun na rin po ang na-feel ng ibang tao. We are getting reckless. And baka hindi tayo datnan ng Pasko. Ayan po, baka bago pa lang magpasko, ma-quarantine na kayo, hindi, ba yun? Hindi, tawag nito, sorry, si Governor Yap ay biglang kinailangan sa isang mahalagang meeting. So, ako na lang po ang interviewin ninyong mga viewers. In any case, so, I leave it at that, no? The government is saying, please self-isolate before your Christmas reunions. Okay? Kasi at least increase the chances of finding out whether you have COVID, and if you don't have COVID, you decrease the possibility of getting it from someone else dahil nag self-isolate. Now, ayan na po, no, as far as Christmas is concerned, medyo mag-ingat po tayo sa mga biyahe natin. Kasi itong mga nakaraang weekends, kami bumabiyahe, nagsasurvey tayo, tinitingnan natin, naku po, alam po ba ninyo na another group of people na madalas ma-COVID, and kung may kamag-anak kayo na ito ang trabaho, nasa gas station, may kaibigan kami, yung mga tao niya sa gas station, yun ang mga tinamaan. And then security guards. Naku po, yung mga managers ng bangko, managers ng mga kung anong establishmento, chicken din ninyo na yung security guard nyo, yes, trabaho nilang kumuha ng temperatura ng mga bisita natin. Yes, trabaho nilang mag-assist para doon sa contact tracing. Pero hindi na sakop ng trabaho nila na ma-COVID sila. Para bang yung mga guard na parang inuobliga ng mga manager at mga executive sa kumpanya na pag umaatras sila, kailangan iharang yung katawan nila dun sa kalsada para maluwag, makaatras o makaparada itong mga executive na ito. Aba, ay kung hindi ka marunong magparada na walang gwardya, walang humaharang, huwag kang magmaneho. Kasi pag yung gwardyang yan nasagasaan, nabundol o nagulpi dahil humarang, sasagutin ba natin? Yun ang problema Kasi, di ba, parang feeling mo, oy, cool. He is actually blocking the road for me. Tapos bugog, nasagasaan. Babayaran mo. Ay, poor naman, the security guard. Kawawa, how kawawa naman. Hello, hindi po nila trabaho yan. Ilang beses ko nang sinasabi yan. Hindi trabaho ng gwardiya, maging parking attendant or maging roadblock para sa inyo. Okay, anyway, eto na po. Tayo ay magpapaalam na. Sinasabihan na ako ng aking na baka mapagod daw ako. In any case, just to close the program today, we're closing early. Medyo ako po'y kailangan may asikasuhin at mukhang ako ay itinamaan din ng indulto doon sa aking mga alaga. Kasi ako ay mahilig mag-alaga ng baboy, mukhang may pinoproblema kami doon. In any case, I just want to share with you something that I really can't remember the Bible verse right now, but it's, I believe, from St. Paul, if I'm not mistaken, where he basically said, what will separate us from the Lord? Will trials, tribulations, will famine, will poverty separate us from the Lord? Parang sinasabi niya, purki ba inaabutan na tayo ng indulto, inaabutan tayo ng hamon, is just because life sucks. Does this mean that God has gone away or that we should just give up on God? And he reminds us, no, don't. However bad the situation is, and believe me, I'm going through a very, very bad situation, okay? A family member has cancer. I have problems with the farm. I've had problems with an accident I had, etc. I have friends dying literally every week from cancer, stroke, and COVID-19. And there are days you just feel like you want to scream, you want to give up, you want to walk away, you want to drive somewhere far. And God graciously reminded me, none of this must separate us from our God. None. No matter how bad the situation, kapit, like I said earlier. Hold on. Hold on to His promise. Hold on to His covenant. And here's a good thing to remember. Look in the past. Tingnan nyo yung nakaraan. Ilang beses na ba tayo, individually, kanya-kanya, na nagdaan tayo sa matinding pagsubok? I'm sure many of you have gone through poverty, lack, need, want, sickness, hurt, etc. Pero nandiyan ka pa rin, buhay ka pa rin, suntok pa rin. And that's actually how I do it every day. I said, suntok pa rin ako ng suntok. Hindi ako bibigay. And kakapit ako kay Lord. I just hope that all of you would take that into account and Google nyo na lang, no? What will separate us from the Lord? Would poverty, lack, whatever, or trials? Kasi yun yung promise niya eh. I will neither leave you nor abandon you. And I'm clinging to that, and I hope you will too. And I hope you have a better week this week, and laban lang here on Agenda.